Today we will learn about the Juki DDL 8700 industrial sewing machine. This straight stitch only machine is very versatile in the sewing fabrication studio. This adjustable knee lever raises and lowers the presser foot. The foot pedal located at the bottom of the machine is solidly attached and controls the sewing operations. A servo motor with speed controls and an on-off switch powers the machine. This allows for quiet operation and nearly instantaneous stop and start. There is a double cone thread stand and tree. On the right-hand side, there is an automatic bobbin winder. This will wind the next bobbin while you sew, so there is always a full bobbin waiting for you. The bobbin winder uses the thread from the second spool. The reverse lever is wide and easy to operate. Above the reverse lever is the stitch length dial. Turning this dial adjusts the stitch length in millimeters. The manual wheel on the right-hand side can only be turned towards you. Use this wheel to raise and lower the needle bar manually. Never turn the wheel in reverse. When sitting at the machine, you want to make sure that your arms fall at a comfortable height relative to the table. This table is a bit low for me. Adjust the legs of the table as needed to raise or lower it to a comfortable working height. Adjust the knee lever so it is easy to operate and comfortable on your knee. Put two spools of thread onto the spool stand, then pull the thread straight up and go back to front through the top guide holes. This is an important step and your machine will likely jam if the thread does not go straight up from the cone or spool through these top holes. Pull the right hand side spool thread down to the bobbin winder. Put it in the guide hole from right to left. Then go under the tension discs on the bobbin winder and give it a wedgie to make sure that the thread is seated in between the tension discs good. Put an empty bobbin on the spindle and then push the automatic stop lever forward to engage the wheel to the drive belt. Pull the thread under the bobbin and wrap it around a few times. Then create a loop and a half hitch over the side of the bobbin spool and pull it tight. This allows all of the thread to be used. You can now cut the thread. Press the foot pedal down and wind the bobbin until it is fully filled with thread. It will automatically stop once full. If it does not, then adjust the screw on the bobbin winder spring arm. This first full bobbin we will use to start sewing. Once it's full, pull it from the spindle and then pull the thread lightly into the bobbin threads so that it does not unwind. Set the full bobbin to the side. Put another bobbin on the spindle and repeat the winding process. Wrap 5 to 8 times and then form a half hitch over the side of the bobbin. Pull tight and trim the thread. Watch how the bobbin automatically winds as I operate the foot lever to simulate starting and stopping sewing. It winds and fills while you sew. It will be there waiting for you when you're ready for a new bobbin. Then simply put the empty bobbin on the winder and repeat until you are done sewing. Pull the left thread down towards the post on the top of the machine. Go through the hole from back to front and then over the top through the tensioning discs. If there are two holes and no disc, then go back to front through the top hole and then back to front through the bottom hole. Frankly, for most applications, the pre-tensioning discs are not needed and going through the post hole once will be fine. Juki's instructions say to use the pre-tension discs. Put the thread through the top hole of the top thread guide from right to left. Wrap around the front and then go through the bottom hole from right to left. Bring the thread down and wrap it under the tension discs. Make sure the thread is in the middle of the tension discs. You can move the knee lever to open the discs to more easily pull the thread in between. Then pull the thread up and engage the take-up spring. Pull down and around the large hook. Then pull up and go through the guide on your way to the take-up arm. Thread through the take-up arm hole from right to left. Pull down through the guide on the left. Then come down toward the needle and go around the guide on the right of the needle bar. Then go through the hole on the front of the needle bar. When looking at needles, you'll notice that there's a groove on one side and a scarf or notch on the other side. The scarf or notch needs to face to the right toward the rotary hook. The groove needs to face to the left. This makes the needle hole perpendicular to the sewing direction. Insert the needle fully into the needle bar. Make a rough adjustment and tighten the screw. Then do a second adjustment to make sure the scarf is perfectly to the right. Shining a light on the reflective surface helps. Then pull the thread through the needle hole from left to right. Now it is time to add the presser foot. The presser foot will not fit if the presser bar is lowered. So use the knee lever to raise it up and put the presser foot on. Then lower the presser arm with the knee lever to hold it in place. Tighten the screw to secure the presser foot. This presser foot has a finger guard. Now it is time to put the bobbin in the bobbin case. The bobbin case has a lever that holds it in the rotary hook assembly. It also has a lower tension control screw. Hold the bobbin and the bobbin case as shown in the video. The thread from the bobbin goes over the top of the bobbin just like a roll of toilet paper. Orient the bobbin and the bobbin case as shown. Push the bobbin into the case and make sure the thread goes through the little slit. Then, holding the case, pull the thread under the tensioning spring to the retaining hook. It is time to check the thread tension of the bobbin case. In most instances, you will not need to adjust this. The tension should be strong enough to hold the weight of the bobbin if you hold it by the thread, but it should not be too tight that the thread does not pull out easily with slightly more tension applied. Most tension adjustments should be made with the tension discs and adjustment knob on the machine rather than with the bobbin. If you need to adjust the bobbin tension, do so with this screw and in very small increments of approximately 1/8 of a turn at a time. Once set, the bobbin case tension should not need to be adjusted unless you have a large change in thread weight. Now the bobbin is ready to be placed into the rotary hook assembly. Open up the cover. The bobbin will go into the rotary hook assembly here. Hold the bobbin by the lever in your left hand and then reach under the sewing machine and press the bobbin fully into the rotary hook assembly. It should be firmly seated and not fall out. Then hold the upper thread and manually rotate the wheel on the right of the machine towards you while pulling the top thread until the lower bobbin thread comes up. Use a screwdriver or a seam ripper to guide the lower bobbin thread up, and then take both threads and pull them through the middle of the presser foot and out the back of the machine. Close the cover plate. This is a view from below showing the rotary hook assembly and how the bobbin goes inside. Note that it is fully seated on the center spindle and the lever is closed. Now the top thread will be rotated around the hook and pull the bobbin thread up. Now it is time to test sew on scrap fabric to check tension. You always want to use the knee lever to lift the presser foot. That way you have both hands to manipulate your fabric. With the presser foot down, press the foot lever and it will sew. You can then use the reverse lever to sew backwards. Whenever using the reverse lever, always press it down quickly and firmly, never just halfway. As you can see, the lower thread is on the bottom and the top thread is on the top. In this case, we need a bit more upper thread tension, so I will screw the adjustment knob clockwise to increase the upper tension. I will now test sew again. This thread is very thick, so you are able to easily see it in the video. Notice that I can see both threads on both sides of the fabric. I have a much better balance between the threads now. Finer weight thread will blend into the fabric much more. You need to make sure that the take-up arm and the needle bar are both in their fully upright position before moving or removing fabric. Notice that in a full cycle, the needle will come up once in the middle of the cycle before the take-up arm is fully up. If you do not have both in the fully upright position and try to remove your fabric, the thread will bind on the rotary hook and you will create problems. As you sew and then stop, sometimes the take-up lever will be in the wrong place. Simply use your hand and rotate the wheel on the right side of the machine towards you until both are in the fully upright position. Then you can remove your fabric. This is important to check each time you are ready to move your fabric. Notice here the needle is down as well as the take-up arm. Rotate the wheel towards you until the needle goes up And then finally, the take-up arm is in the fully upright position. Then you can remove the fabric. Trim the thread about 6 inches and pull it to the back of the machine. You can adjust the stitch length to be very small with the stitch length knob. Notice that the fabric is hardly moving with the feed dogs. If I adjust it to 5 millimeters, now the fabric moves very quickly. Then I can adjust it to a more reasonable 3 millimeters to back tack. Here, the 1 millimeter stitches are very tight. Then the 5 millimeter stitches are much wider. This is the reverse lever. Push it down firmly and quickly and release quickly. This is the presser foot tension control. You can make it looser or tighter and then secure it with the second knob. Depending on the thickness of your fabric, you may need to make adjustments. This is the manual presser foot lifting lever. Never use this unless you are working on the machine. It takes a second hand to use this, and you don't have full control of your material. Notice if I use the knee lever to lift the presser foot, I can use both my hands to precisely position my workpiece and then lower the presser foot with the knee lever and begin working. If you are used to using a consumer machine, you are likely used to using the manual presser foot lever. You need to break that habit so you can work more efficiently with an industrial machine. Having two hands on your workpiece is always preferable.